The NASCAR Nationwide Series Camping World RV Sales 200 is being brought to you by Camping World RV Sales. Take a look at our starting grid. 18-year-old Landon Cassill becomes the fourth different first-time pole winner of the season, but he is surrounded by veterans. Clint Boyer is there, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and our in-race reporter, the driver of the City Financial Ford, Greg Biffle, who starts in third today. Let's talk with Greg.
Greg, Dale Jarrett with ABC. You have a copy?
I got you.
Hey, Greg, what's the most difficult part of this racetrack for you, and will you be our 22nd different winner today?
I certainly hope so, DJ. I think one of the most difficult parts of this racetrack is the corner entry. Not skid that left front tire, but get down in the corner as good as you can. That's and then it's a little touchy being on the inside of somebody. That's one of the most difficult parts of this racetrack is to get position, then enter the corner down on the inside of that guy without getting loose.
Okay, Greg, we have another question from our ESPN mailbag from Mike in Sterling Heights, Michigan. With your new contract, does it take the pressure off of you this season?
Yeah, it certainly does. That's a great question. I'm really excited to get the deal done with Roush Fenway. Going to be here another 3 years and drive this City Financial Ford Fusion in the Nationwide Series, and then, of course, the 3M car in the Sprint Cup Series. So really looking forward to it. Looking to have a good day today to see what I can do with this car.
Thanks, Greg. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Calling the shots for Greg will be crew chief Eddie Pardue. Let's visit with Eddie.
Eddie, Ray Evernham, the ABC booth. You got me?
Okay, 5,000 seconds.
Eddie, Ray Evernham up in the ABC booth. Have you got me?
4 loud, clear.
Eddie, your teammates were really strong at Milwaukee last week, winning and running fourth. Does that give you a good baseline setup to use for today?
It absolutely does. We're very similar to last week's setup, and with our teammates here today, we've learned a lot and feel like we got a good setup here.
All right, Eddie. Thank you very much. Have a good run.
Tempo.
8 different high-definition onboard cameras will be riding along with today. Mike Bliss starts 7th in the Miccosukee Golf Tournament Chevrolet. Clint Boyer, points leader, 2nd in the Camping World Chevy. Mike Wallace, 21st, the Geico Toyota. You've already heard from Greg Biffle, the City Financial Ford. Kyle Busch, 4th in the Sea-Line Designs Toyota. Kevin Harvick, last year's winner, the Camping World Chevy, carrying our nationwide onboard camera. Carl Edwards, 11th in the Ford Drive 1 Under Armour Ford. And Brad Keselowski starts 9th in the Navy Chevrolet. One more over the high-definition camera going over the wall with the rear tire changer for David Streaming, DJ Kopp. And DJ's also got a microphone. DJ, what's the biggest challenge for a tire changer at New Hampshire here today?
Well, whenever you come to a new racetrack, or not even a new racetrack, you just come and you analyze where you are and position on pit road. Where we're at right now in pit stall 35, we're real close to the entrance to pit road, and so we're going to have to be on our toes all day long, so that's going to make it interesting. Something unique that we'll only see at Loudon is this pit wall. As we walk up, no contour, no step up, just right down on the ground. Back to you, Doc.
Okay, thank you, DJ. We'll look forward to your coverage as the green flag waves here. Glad to have you with us here in New Hampshire. NASCAR Nationwide Series action. And Greg Biffle doesn't waste any time whatsoever up front. By the way, Landon Cassill, that was the pole sitter, had to go to the back of the field because of an engine change yesterday afternoon.
Now, we saw Greg Biffle right there with what he was talking about a while ago, get loose getting into turn 1, and that's cost him the lead right now. Clint Boyer's gotten out front, and Kevin Harvick's trying to take over the 2nd spot.
200-lap race here on a very, very difficult 1-mile oval. Already some bumping and rubbing. We talked about what we saw in Milwaukee a week ago, and you guys alluded to it in the NASCAR Countdown Show. Lots of fenders and bumpers.
Yeah, Jerry, I think this might be one of the most difficult racetracks for starts and restarts, as we have a crash already.
27 car.
Down.
Brad Coleman has gone around.
Down there.
I'll tell you guys, I think some of that sliding around, we might have seen low tire pressure early. It looked like the 33 slid right up in the front, and then there was a lot of sliding around going on in the back.
Show you what happened. Watch a 27 car left side of your screen.
Hard to tell there, but it looks like he could have gotten a little bit of help coming out of there, a little contact. That's exactly what I was getting to. It's the low tire pressure. It makes this one of the most difficult places that we go to. And it does look like the 66 got into the back of Brad Coleman just a little bit. And again, with very little traction right now with these tires on this racing surface, it doesn't take much.
Just that quickly here at New Hampshire, we are under yellow, lap number 2, first caution flag today. A 27 car of Brad Coleman involved. We'll come back and update what happened to him after this from our ABC stations. Sit back, relax, and enjoy as NASCAR's pilots are about to turn it loose.
All right, guys, championship all starts here.
Stoners have come on pit road.
What the hell?
Oh, baby.
These guys are just taking whatever push that they can get.
Tony Stewart uses the draft to slide by. Tony Stewart, the pole sitter, will come down and win the season opener at Daytona. His nickname is Smoke, and he smoked him. Tony Stewart smoked him in February. 34 drivers finished on the lead lap. There were 16 lead changes. Kyle Busch led the most laps, but Tony Stewart got the win in his Toyota. Our live coverage begins next Friday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN2. Under yellow here at New Hampshire, Loudon, New Hampshire, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the 27 car. On lap number 2, Brad Coleman, a little contact here in the corner.
Still there, 28 outside. 3 wide middle, 3 wide middle. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Come on, good job, man, good job.
There's a 27 car headed back toward the garage area. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, guys, that was Brad Coleman that this happened to. Sean Parker is his crew chief, and Sean Parker just pleading with the officials, saying that was not our fault. Sean came on the radio and told Brad, I'll give you one quick decision of who that was, buddy. That was Stephen Wallace. That's the second time that's happened this season. If we get next to him, we will dump him. But as you see, the 27 car going back to the garage. Shannon?
Well, Jamie, certainly not the way that either of these drivers wanted to start this race. But moments after the wreck, Stephen Wallace did come over the radio, told his spotter to walk over to Brad Coleman's spotter and just say, sorry, man. Tell your driver I did not mean to get into him.
We talked about racing and then contact. We saw it last week. You know, contact off and on, and Carl Edwards apologized later at the last week. And well, if you're Stephen Wallace, what do you do?
Yeah, that's all that you can is say, I'm sorry. And you know, it's a difficult spot. Again, you don't have a lot of grip at the beginning, and you're actually driving uphill a little bit out of turn 2. And with these cars, sometimes it becomes a little bit difficult to see exactly where the front end of your car is. Early in the race, you would like to think they'd give a little bit more room, but these things are going to happen on a short track racing like this.
Their spotters, Ray, are in different spotter stands. There are various stands here. You see 2 different locations for spotters at the middle right above us and one down toward turn 1 and different points of view.
Well, sometimes that might be good that the spotters are in different parts of, you know, as DJ said, it was a little bit early in the race. The pressures are low. The cars are sliding. It's hard to judge just how much those things are going to slide. And I think they were about 4 wide coming off there.
Clint Bowyer's our leader. Kevin Harvick in second. Kyle Busch third. And what about Tony Stewart, who has 4 wins and 6 starts? There's Tony in the Old Spice Toyota. Let's check in with Dave.
Yeah, meanwhile, Doc, in the 7-time winners camp, that car that is, here's what's going on with them. Listen.
Have a little fun, Smoke. Have a little fun. You got it. You too, guys. Every time we have fun, something big happens in a good way.
Back to green flag racing, and Tony, I think, is resigned to having a good time today. He's been in that car 6 times, won 4 times. Here's the 2 car. Clint Bowyer up front getting a challenge from last year's winner here, Kevin Harvick.
Kevin doesn't seem to have much of a problem getting his car going on these restarts. His air pressure may be a little bit different, or it could be that his setup is conducive to that, because this is a time that you can really make some time, as we see Kyle Busch coming on the outside of him.
Couple of Chevrolets and then a Toyota, and that is one stout Toyota.
Yeah, Kyle said that his car took about 4 or 5 laps to get going, and it's right about that. But there you see the 2 distinct groups that DJ was talking about before. The 33 car was down on the bottom. The 18 car was up. Now the 18 car is going to come down on the bottom. Let's see how he is down there.
Kyle Busch trying to hug the bottom groove, and thus far no contact, and he makes the pass pretty cleanly.
Looks like he's pretty strong down there too, DJ.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive this time of the race, that you can get your car hooked up that well and drive off the corner. I was wondering if he was going to fall back actually behind Kevin Harvick on that move. Shannon, you got more on the 18?
Yeah, we saw a terrific performance by Kyle Busch 2 weeks ago in Milwaukee, of course. In Kentucky, of course, when he made his way to the front from the very back of the pack. Now, this is his Phoenix car, and this is the car that they won in Phoenix with. But Jason Radcliffe, his crew chief, told me that when they unloaded, it was very different car. It's been too tight center off. And they have a very similar setup to the 20 car here today, but Jason Radcliffe did tell me that the thing he wants to hear from his driver early on is that the car is loose. He said, that way I know it will tighten up.
Yeah, Shannon, Kyle Busch, the last time he was in that car at Phoenix, he dominated, led 133 of 200 laps. So welcome back, Kyle. On a pretty good race car.
Yeah, I don't think he likes a tight race car. I don't think that's in his vocabulary. It's what he wants to feel in his race car. And so if they've gotten it freed up, I heard him talk earlier that was a problem they were having with this car, but it looks like they've got a lot of that fixed. But this also could mean jumping out there like this, the car might still be a little bit tight, Ray, and he's able to go right now. And so we'll see if he's able to continue at this pace or if he falls back a little bit.
Well, DJ, if we watch the nose of that car, his style is he is on the brakes hard, on the throttle hard. He doesn't seem to be carrying, easing off the throttle, getting in the corner, and that tends to maybe free a car up a little bit, heat that right rear up so he can turn it.
32 car making a pass, and that is Jason Leffler, by the way. And you see that 38 is Leffler, by the way. 32 is Denny Hamlin. And the reason those cars are black and don't have the decals is because of the death of the mother of the car owner there. Todd Braun lost his mom. That is Linda Braun. Earlier in the week, they called her Mama B. And the funeral services tomorrow in Indiana. Todd is not here, obviously, and he wanted both cars to have the black color, no sponsor logos on the cars, in order to remember her and pay homage to her memory and what a major part of their team she was.
See David Rudiman going by Carl Edwards there. He looks like his car is running very well down the bottom. David really likes this racetrack. He charges the corner hard, gets his car cut in the center and off the corner. We saw Denny Hamlin follow through also.
While you watch David Rudiman, let's update what's going on with the 27 car of Brad Coleman back in the garage area. Jamie.
Well, Doc, to add insult to injury, Sean Parker, crew chief, just told me we are so frustrated. NASCAR made us bring our car behind the wall. There's nothing wrong with it. They put a little Barabon tape, but nothing they had to come behind the wall for. And of course, in doing that, they had to send Brad Coleman to the infield care center. So they're losing lap after lap, guys. Very frustrated situation. They're going to take Brad Coleman back out on the racetrack.
Jamie, he was 16th in the point standings coming in here and trying to get in the top 15 or trying to move up toward the top 10 after this is his first full year in the series, and this certainly hurt sitting there in the garage area under green.
Yeah, I got a chance to spend some time with Brad Coleman's dad this morning talking about his move over to this 27 team. And was it a good move? Was it a bad move? You know, he was in the Joe Gibbs cars last year, and they feel like they made a solid move. They just felt like there was only a few races available to them this year with the Gibbs operation, and this Baker Curb operation afforded them an opportunity to run the full season. But it's been a disappointing year thus far. Brad's a very talented young man, and this team just not has run as well as they would have liked to.
Brad, he is headed back on the racetrack, and remember what Sean Parker told Jamie a little bit ago. They are angry, very angry at the contact with the 66 car, so we'll keep an eye on the 27 when he gets back on the track if he gets around the Stephen Wallace machine.
Probably a little frustration showing through. I know they haven't run as well as they like to as we see a battle for the lead right now. But Brad Coleman is a good young race driver, and going back there and doing anything today wouldn't be the right thing to do. But you know, sometimes we don't do the right things. As we see, Clint Boyer has taken over the lead, and Tony Stewart trying to get second.
Tony Stewart, the 20 car. As those are teammates, Joe Gibbs cars, and Tony makes it look easy, hugging the bottom of the racetrack, takes the second spot away. Now sets his sights on Clint Boyer.
I think we may have a situation. I would be surprised if Kyle Busch isn't calling in saying my car's a little bit too tight, because if you have that feeling that you can really go on low air pressures and as loose as you need the car to be, then he took off out there, and I would say his car is probably just tightening up a little bit, and Tony and Clint Boyer's were a little bit looser to start with, and now they're coming to the front.
Look at the speed in that last lap for Tony Stewart, obviously getting through traffic, but he's picking up 125.3, you know, almost a half a mile an hour quicker than he was in the previous lap in the leader.
And we saw that through practice where some guys' fastest laps were on their 4th or 5th lap of a run, and other guys didn't have their fastest laps to their 10th, 11th, or 12th lap of a run.
Tony Stewart back in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, trying to chase down our points leader, Clint Boyer, who came into this race 188 points ahead. Boyer in the same car he won twice with a year ago, trying to pick up his second win in 2008, but he's got a rearview mirror full of one Tony Stewart. Can Boyer hang on? We'll find out in just a moment. Welcome back to the Camping World RV Sales 200 here at Loudon, New Hampshire. And a moment ago, a different leader. It is Tony Stewart in the 20 car, becomes the third different leader. We've had 4 lead changes. Here's how it happened. Clint Boyer was the leader. He had led twice for 13 laps, and Tony hugs the inside.
Yeah, you know, you hear us talk about rolling through the center and the drivers rolling through. That was rolling through the center. Tony Stewart took that bottom lane and just went really fast, carried a lot of speed, and then that momentum carried him down the straightaway past Clint Boyer.
Joe Gibbs cars have won 10 times this year. That 20 car has won 7 races with 4 different drivers. You know, Tony Stewart has won in it in 4 times. Joey Logano won, and Denny Hamlin won. Kyle Busch won. Now the 20 car, why is it important that Tony get a win here today? Because crew chief Dave Rogers is from Marshfield, Vermont. It's about 2 hours away, and there is Dave Rogers Sr., his dad, father of the crew chief, and he brought his son here in 1990 for the very first NASCAR race. He began coming here when Dave, his son was 16 years old. He said it's been his son's dream to become a crew chief in NASCAR and to someday come back and win on the home track. What did Dave Rogers do for Tony Stewart? Well, Tony began the year at 4 different racetracks he had never won on. Dave helped him get a win at California, Talladega, and Darlington. He also got a win for Denny Hamlin at his home track in Richmond. And today, maybe Dave Rogers Sr. will get to see his son realize a dream if Tony Stewart can take that car to victory lane at Dave Rogers Jr.'s home racetrack.
Yeah, Jay, you know, we hear so much about family in this sport, and we think a lot of times we talk about family, it's the driver's side of it, but it carries down also because you have a passion for the sport, and you want your kids or your son to get involved, and this is a great story, and right now it's looking pretty good for him.
Yeah, when I told Tony Stewart about the importance of this race in the garage yesterday, he looked at me and said, "No pressure, Doc, no pressure at all."
Even though he's made the pass, he hasn't gotten far away from Clint Boyer. I don't think that he's going to be able to do that today. This is going to be a tight race all day long. And, you know, we talk about these 21 different winners, and the first 3 guys that we have, Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer, and Kyle Busch, none of those guys are in those 21 winners. So it's looking pretty good right now, even though Kevin Harvick's sitting there in 4th, that we could have our 22nd.
Shot of Dave Rogers right there. Good young crew chief, guy that's been around. His dad looked pretty proud of him, and he ought to be. That he's done a great job winning with as many drivers as he have. And Dave, have you got anything?
Yeah, Ray, just an update on how that car is running right now. One of the things that they're monitoring is there was some debris on the nose of that race car, and the car was running just a little bit hot. They're keeping an eye on that. But interestingly, Tony reported about 8 laps ago that car is a little bit tight, won't turn through the center of the corner. And out front in clean air with more debris or something on the nose, that sounds like a race car that needs to be really loosened up for the driver.
Tony Stewart trying to, well, obviously he's holding on, but clean. I guess there's the clean air cures a lot, right, guys?
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no substitute for that in making your car better and do things. As we can see, Tony, he's having a hard time here, even with the lap car here, because his car is a little bit tight through the center of the corner and exit. Jamie, you've got something for us?
Well, Dale, I talked to Clint Boyer just this week, actually, and he told me that what's frustrating about the Toyotas, as you see the battle for the lead right there, they're going side by side. So what's frustrating is the Toyotas are beating us by horsepower, but not only there, they're beating us through the corner. So all we're doing is focusing on trying to get our car to turn better through the corner. Right there, he looks like he's doing a good job. But DJ, what can teams do to get their cars to turn better like he says the Toyotas are?
Well, I think part of it might be a little bit aero-wise that they're doing things there. As we see a great battle here, they're both having a hard time passing this lap car, and it's making for great racing for the lead. But there's a lot of other things that the Toyota camp may be doing. You know, part of it may be air pressure. Each one of these manufacturers has a different way of looking at the tire data that they get, so that may be part of it. Ray, there's other adjustments too that they can make with the chassis and with the cars that may be a little different.
Well, there's certainly, as we go on, I think everybody's putting so much time into understanding how to keep your air dam down on the ground, and we've learned so much working with bump stops and coil bound that they're getting these cars to go faster and faster through the corner. But if we look at the back of these cars, like the 20 and the 2, they're bouncing pretty hard getting in the corner. I would say they've got a big right rear spring in those cars, and with a car without a lot of horsepower, that right rear spring will help it turn through the center.
15 million viewers have made Wipeout the summer's biggest hit. ABC Tuesday Splash, swing and dive into the show all of America can't stop buzzing about. The all-new Wipeout Tuesday, 8 Eastern, 7 Central on ABC. Points leader Clint Boyer, our leader here, has now led 26 laps of the 44 we have run thus far. By the way, our pit window, roughly 70 laps for first pit stop. Most of these teams will stop no more than twice today. In fact, there may be a lot of gambling. We'll get into some discussion on some of the things you can gamble on here and win possibly at New Hampshire. One of the cars that you thought you would see up front early was the pole sitter, a youngster, 18 years of age. Landon Cassill will became the fourth first-time pole winner in 2008, but because of an engine change, NASCAR has a rule: if you go to anything aside from the primary engine for the weekend, you got to start at the back of the pack. So the young man has had his hands full. He started in the rear of the field. There's the 5 car, the National Guard Chevrolet, right behind Bobby Hamilton Jr., and he has gained 27 positions.
From 43rd to be racing for 15th, his car is turning good and accelerating good.
And DJ, as a driver, that is not easy to do, obviously, at a track like this where it is very difficult to pass.
Now, we've talked a number of times just how difficult a racetrack this is. It may look simple enough because you see a lot of pavement there, but there's only a certain part of it that you want to use, as we see him trying to take another spot here. But he obviously, sitting on the pole, we knew that he had a good race car. But this is very impressive to watch him come through the traffic and make the passes that he's made.
Whoa, contact. Did he get contacted or just get in the corner?
Hold the brake, bud. Hold the brake.
And he slams the wall very hard and heavy damage on the front of his Chevy.
Oh, we're going to have to see that again. Looked like he might have got in there just a little bit too hard.
I'm rolling here, but it's bad.
Yeah, that looked like it's knocked the fuel pump or something off of there, Rick.
Yeah.
Smart thing to do there, get it stopped. It's going to be interesting as we see the replay if there was a little contact. His car was so good, it's hard to imagine that he just drove in there and got in too hard. But it doesn't take much here to get in there a little bit over your head. You get that right rear chatter, and then you're around.
Pull it over and get out of that car. Pull it over and get out of that car. He's out. He's out. He's out.
Lap 48, and we're just talking about what a great job this young man had done to come all the way from the back of the pack, and now heavy contact in the wall, bringing out the second caution flag of the day here on lap 47. 18 years of age, making only his 15th career start. Driving for Rick Hendrick and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Let's show you again what happened here. Now watch the 5 car, watch the 25.
He's trying to make the pass, and anytime you're in that position, you want to get down into the corner. He seems to clear Bobby Hamilton Jr. Yeah, looks like he got a little bit. It looks like Bobby Jr., when you're in that position, you get back to the throttle just a little bit soon, and it wasn't anything intentional, obviously. Bobby was just trying to get the best run off the corner and follow the 5. See if there's anything different from this angle that we can see.
I think Bobby tried to cross him up and just caught him in the left rear, turn him around.
Well, hard to see the contact there between the 25 and the 5, and gosh, this kid's coming in a hurry, and that's what happens. Fuel pump, raw fuel in the front of the engine when you hit.
Yeah, when you crush the nose on those cars, a lot of things can happen. Sometimes it moves the engine plate, which will knock the fuel pump off. You'll break an oil line. That looks like it might have been oil fire there. Oil cooler, possibly, DJ?
Yeah, definitely. It's unfortunate. He was doing such a great job, and we had the camera right on his pit stops.
Let's go down to our Castrol triple pits. First here, Shannon Spade.
Kyle Busch is saying that the car needs to turn a little bit better off the corners. He says it's gradually getting worse as the run goes on. They're going to get very aggressive with air pressure and make a wedge adjustment, add some Sunoco fuel to that 18 car and 4 tires. Jamie.
Boy, this has been his race. He's dominated fast in practice, fast in qualifying. He said he's just a little tied off. Air pressure adjustment, they're going to put scuffs on there, Dave.
Bottom of your screen, Tony Stewart getting 4 fresh tires, air pressure adjustments, and at least 3 of them wedged into the right rear. That car has to turn better. They'll finish the work, and they'll start the race off of pit road. He gave up second spot. Looks like he's going to leave in that position, racing the 18.
Racing off of pit road, 45 miles an hour. Kyle Busch will gain a spot. Tony will lose 1. Carl Edwards up 4 positions there. And Jason Keller back 3 to be in the top 10. First pit stop of the day. Why don't we go down the pit road and listen to the rear tire changer for David Strimmy. Here's DJ Kopp in the middle of a pit stop.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Missed 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure they're tight, easy around the car. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get them all tight, get them out of here. We might have picked up a couple of weeks. This is where we got to be careful. Guys behind us.
You see Kyle Busch going back to the outside again. We know the last time at the start of the race, Clint Bowyer's car, as good as it was, he couldn't really go that well as the air pressures were down. It took him a while, and then his car was the best car later on after they had run about 40 laps. So Kyle Busch is ready to get back out front. I think Clint will probably just be a little bit patient right here and knowing that he has the better car in the long run.
Again, Ray, the banking here is transitional, meaning that the apron area where some of the guys run in the corners is flat. Up in the turns, up high where the 18 car is, it's almost 12 degrees.
Yeah, and Kyle said that his car was a little bit tight on acceleration up off, so his car took off earlier before. He seems to be a little bit better up on the top side to really lean into that banking so he can get on the throttle. Or some of the other guys have got their cars maybe a little bit freer, can roll that bottom like DJ was talking about. Right now we're seeing a good battle for second place between the 2, the 20, the 33, and the 99.
You mentioned the 99 car, David Rudiman up there. He was one of the fastest cars in practice. There is David coming into your picture there. Started back in 12th position, now trying to make a pass on the 33 car for 4th spot.
Yeah, as a driver, these were always some of the hardest laps I can remember through an entire year, is after a restart and trying to get your car up to speed. If your car was any good, you had to be so free, and this was just really tense, especially when you were racing guys trying to make passes. You had to really be careful not to overextend yourself and get yourself and other guys in trouble.
Rudiman jumps on the brakes right in behind the 2 car of Bowyer. As you see Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart trying to pull away a little bit. The battle really is back for 3rd position as Rudiman goes to the attack on the 2 car.
Yeah, I don't think Clint's too upset right now about this. I was talking to him in the garage area yesterday, and he said that his car was loose at the beginning of a run, but he really liked what was happening as we see the 99 David Rudiman trying to take away the 3rd spot right now. But he said he was really happy with what happened in the long run. We generally get long runs here. I said, so can I count on you being the winner tomorrow and being our 22nd different winner? He said that'd be a good bet. A pretty confident young man.
You know, he's got a good car, but arguably the best car here may be in the garage area, and Shannon has caught up with its driver, Landon Cassill.
Well, Doc, Landon Cassill has been released from the infield care center. You earned your first pole today. Had to go to the back because of an engine change, worked your way up, and now you're in here. Certainly not the way you wanted to end your day. How emotional has this day been for you, Landon?
You know, I mean, racing's a pretty emotional sport, so just got to move on to the next one. We had a great race car, and unfortunately it ended soon, so.
So, in your perspective, what happened? I know you haven't seen the video yet, but what did you see from your window?
I don't know. I mean, I think to him it all started back in Nashville. He was pretty upset with something. I tried to work it out with him face to face, and I guess that wasn't enough, you know. I worked on him for about 10 laps and tried to pass him clean. So I can't say anything. I was looking out the windshield, but I got to see the replay.
All right, well, we'll let Landon get back to his motor coach. Certainly a disappointing day for Landon Cassill.
Indeed it is. A young man hoping to be able to become another one of the first-time winners here this year. There's a couple of Roush Fenway drivers, the 16 and the 6, Greg Biffle, David Reagan, as they battle for 8th position. And by the way, speaking of the garage area, the 38 car back there, Jason Leffler, you Jason Leffler fans with a broken gear, working on going back there. Paul Wolf and company trying to get Leffler back on the racetrack. Back up front, it's all about Kyle Busch, a 4-time winner here in 2008. Last drove this car at Phoenix and spanked him. Kyle Busch trying to get win number 5. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Big soccer day tomorrow. MLS action on ABC Sunday afternoon. David Beckham, Landon Donovan, and the LA Galaxy take on DC United. The MLS Special Edition presented by Adidas. ABC Sunday at noon Eastern Time. Then coverage of UEFA Euro 2008 concludes with the championship game. Germany takes on Spain at 2:30 Eastern Time. UEFA Euro 2008, ABC Sunday. For more, log on to ESPNSoccerNet.com. Past the quarter distance of today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Got a couple of Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas running 1 and 2. Kyle Busch in the 18 leading Tony Stewart in the 20. And in our ESPN pit studio, guy who's been driving that Joe Gibbs Racing 20 car the last few weeks. In fact, won in it a couple of weeks ago at Kentucky. Joey Logano joins us. This has got to be difficult for you to sit here watching this race car go around without you being in it.
Yeah, it's real difficult, you know, but I waited so long to get into the car, and I got my 4 races in, and now I got to sit out the next 3 weeks, but I'll be back in the 20 GameStop car in Gateway and go for another one, I guess.
What do you do, Joey, between now and the time when you get back in the race car to stay sharp mentally as well as physically?
I mean, there's a bunch of different things, you know. I'll keep working out, you know, whatever it takes, you know. We might do some cup tests or whatever comes up there. You know, it's pretty much the same thing I was doing before we jumped in the 20 car earlier.
Now, when you got down off the pit box and took off the radio to come out here and join us, you curious what's going on with your race car in between then?
Yeah, well, I've been trying to watch on his TV up here.
We'll get you an update. How about we bring in Dave Burns? Dave, tell Joey what's going on with his race car.
Here we now give you the personal Joey Logano update on the 20 car. Hey, Joey, right now a little tight in the center to the center of the corner. Remember, they were fighting a car that wouldn't turn early on. When you were listening on the radio, you heard that. So they made an adjustment for it, and now they're going to experience that again. So Dave Rogers is going to have to make a further adjustment on that race car the next time Tony comes in. And I want to get your reaction to this. Dave told me that the hardest driver swap for him was going from you to Tony, because Tony likes to take care of the entry of the corner. And you, as a young guy, how do you drive into the corner?
I drive it in there. My entry, I don't really worry about it. I'm always really big on getting the center to turn good, and you see he's tight now, and that seems to happen a lot with these Nationwide cars. For experience I do have, I've always been tight in the center, and if you do get it turned to center good, you're really free up off. So it's kind of a give and take thing, but if he does get that center good and get the exit good, he's going to be really good.
You live in the Charlotte area now, spent a lot of time your family did in the Atlanta area, but New England is where you grew up. This track, special meaning to you?
Yeah, it's cool. You know, I ran the Camping World East Series here last year and won both the races, got a pole out of it. So I guess you can say I'm undefeated here. I haven't run anything in a Camping World car. But, you know, it's a really cool racetrack. It's similar to Milwaukee, but then it's quite a bit different, too. You know, it's good racing here. You know, it's kind of an aero track, but you can still... It's not like when you get 2 cars behind someone, you start pushing like a dump truck. So yeah. It's really cool to race here, and looking forward to getting a race here someday again.
Well, I got a question, and I'm not going to tell anyone. So that you can just tell me, will you be racing here next year in a Cup car, possibly?
Wow. No one else is going to hear this?
I'm not trying anyway.
Oh, I don't know. That's not up to me. Okay. It's Joe and JD. I'm going to focus on the 20 GameStop car right now, and when they say let her rip, that's where we're going to go on that one.
Awesome. I know on your way up here, you spent some time back at a place where you got started earlier this week. Little quarter midget club over in Connecticut. Tell me about that.
Yeah, you know, that's where I raced my first time, you know, Silver City Quarter Midget Club, and they had the Eastern Grand Nationals, which is one of the biggest quarter midget races of the whole year. And went there, saw all the kids and all. Actually, I saw my old quarter midget car, which I thought was awesome. And there's this little 6-year-old kid driving it now, and I couldn't believe it. I didn't think it'd be there, and you know, to see that car and see all those kids having fun, learning a lot, and you know, with their whole families, everything, it was really neat.
And I'm sure a lot of them looking up to you as an example of what might be. Thanks for taking time to come down off the pit box. Had to talk to you about not being in the car and watching it here, and we'll see you again in a few weeks.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
Joey Logano, winner at Kentucky a couple of weeks ago, driver of the Joe Gibbs Racing 20. Here's another young driver who's really on the move here in this stretch of race, Brad.
David has done an outstanding job all season long, and I'm still waiting on David to work his way towards victory lane. He keeps inching his way forward. He's having a super run today.
David Reagan up to the 8th position now in that 6 car, having picked up 14 positions since the start of the race. Reagan, the young Georgia native, trying to put the Roush Fenway team in victory lane in New England. David doing a little batting practice down at Fenway Park the other night, hoping he doesn't hit a wall here today like the Green Monster.
Welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and here's a look at our Holiday Inn Express race summary. There have been 3 leaders, 6 lead changes thus far. Average speed just under 102 miles per hour. There are 24 cars on the lead lap. There have been 13 caution laps thus far, and cars out of the race, 10 of the 43 that started. Kyle Busch is the leader in the 18 car, looking for his 5th win in 2008. Hasn't won since Charlotte. His last 3 outings, by the way, 28th, 20th, and 30th at Dover, Nashville, and Kentucky. And while we were away, we were talking about David Rudiman, what a nice job he has done here, trying to improve on his best finish of 3rd this year. He has now taken the 2nd spot away in the 99 car and trying to reel in the leader, Kyle Busch. Just had a visit a moment ago as you look at David Rubin from Joey Logano, and the big question is, I guess one of the themes of the week, guy, in the NBA draft was one and done. All the freshmen in college coming out to go to the major leagues and play for the National Basketball Association. What about a Joey Logano? If you had him as your driver, would he be one and done? Could he be in a Cup car as early as 2009?
I think it would take certain circumstances, which may occur at Joe Gibbs Racing depending on what Tony Stewart decides to do. If Tony does indeed decide that he's going to opt out to go be a car owner and drive for that team, and there's a seat open there at Joe Gibbs Racing, I wouldn't be afraid to put this young man in there. It was amazing listening to him talk there. If I didn't know he was 18 years old, I would have thought that he's 25, 26 years old in the way that he talks, and also watching him race over the last few weeks. A lot of talent there. And Ray, I don't know about you. You've been a car owner on that side. Would you be afraid to put him in right now?
No, absolutely not. You know, I was one of the people that said, look, I got to stand back and watch and see how he races. And after seeing the talent that this young man's got and the ability to carry himself, and then with a support group like Joe and J.D. Gibbs, you know, we're seeing it in other forms of racing. They're bringing younger and younger drivers to Formula One. We've seen it with Marco Andretti and Graham Rahal in Indy cars. So it's probably not what Joe Gibbs would choose to do, but if he has to do it, I believe he'll be fine at it.
You already took that leap of faith with Casey Kane and put the young man on a driver, recognized the talent, and put him in the car, and obviously that's paid off pretty well for Gillette Evernham.
Yeah, Casey has done a great job. Again, Casey was probably 22 or 23 when we started, not 18.
An old man.
An old man. But, you know, Joey, even though he's 18 years of age, he's got 10 years of an unbelievable driving experience.
On the racetrack, the 2 car of Clint Boyer, and back in 4th position after Boyer had led 3 times for 36 laps, and some questions about what they did on that pit stop, DJ.
Yeah, we heard him say that they put scuffed tires on here, and that means they've just been run in a few laps, and his car doesn't seem to be quite as good this run. Jamie, you can add?
Yeah, he's definitely not happy with it. He was leading this race early on. Now he slipped back to 4th, and he said he's tight up off. But DJ, you and I were talking earlier today about this track, and it's not the typical track when it cools down. Can you explain why they would take scuffs?
You know, sometimes I think that you put them on there thinking that you may get your car hooked up a little bit better. They were probably thinking that the stickers may have been something that hurt them if they saw that in practice of getting their car up to speed. So they had on scuffs, obviously, to start the race. They might have thought that was the way to go here. But this is a different racing surface and tire that from others that we run, it seems to be a lot more difficult, and when you get cloud cover and you don't have some heat in the surface, it seems that these tires don't hook up quite as good. So maybe it's something they were looking for there. Ray, what do you think?
Well, the tire historically through practice has not run its fastest lap to maybe the 4th or 5th, even the 6th lap, so they were thinking maybe we'll get going quicker on scuffs. But scuffs have a tendency to build up pressure differently than a sticker. They don't generate as much heat, so you might not have what you think you have pressure-wise.
This is the halfway point of the season, race 18 of 35, and Clint Boyer has led the points for the last 12 weeks in a row. Currently coming in right now is 185 points over David Rudiman in 2nd place. And we asked Clint Boyer, you came so close back in 2005. What about your pursuit of a NASCAR Nationwide Series title here in 2008?
I just love the series. It's very competitive. It's always a lot of fun. The cars are a lot of fun to drive, and you know, it's something that you know, was part of me and my career. And I didn't win a championship. I want to come back and win this nationwide championship, and I've had 2 stabs at it, and hopefully the third time will be a charm.
In 2005, he finished 68 points back in the championship chase to Martin Truex, and he said, that's why I'm going through all this. I want to win a championship, and he wants to be able to get one for Richard Childress Racing. And by the way, that's also some news this week. I guess the 2-car Clint Boyer apparently staying put at RCR.
Well, he's got a good home there, but you wonder why he's out front in points. All the statistics basically in the Nationwide Series right now, average start, average finish, average middle of the race position, he's leading all those categories.
And if you're wondering why he's so good on a flat racetrack, he grew up on the dirt tracks in and around Kansas in the Midwest. He's from Emporia, Kansas, and I guess on dirt, you better be able to turn left when the car's slipping and sliding a little bit.
Yeah, you have to do that, and I think that's probably helped him on a lot of different racetracks. But what's impressed me the most about him is watching him over the years in the Cup Series and coming along as a driver. He's really matured very quickly. As we see David Rudiman, who's in second, he's got the 18 car in his sights right now. We may have a lead change here pretty quickly.
When I spoke with David Rudiman in the garage here yesterday, I said, when we start saying David Rudiman's moving in toward the lead, he said, I may mistakenly say Buzzy. He said, because over the years, if you talked about a Rudiman leading in a big block somewhere in the New England area, it was his dad, Buzzy Rudiman, who ran those big block dirt modified cars. He said, you know what, that would be an honor. That would be, if you said Buzzy instead of Davidson, I would appreciate that.
And by the way, his dad is 67 years old and still winning dirt races.
How about that?
I think Buzzy would probably tell you, though, that he'd love to hear right now in just a minute we're saying David Rudiman's taking the lead from Kyle Busch.
Well, looking at our lap tracker, I think we're going to be saying that. He seems to be able to whittle that lead down a tenth of a second or 2 per lap.
David Rudiman won in the NASCAR Nationwide Series in the 99 car last year at Memphis last fall. And trying to go to victory lane. He has not been to victory lane this year. His best finished third 3 times, and now he is reeled to within a couple of car lengths of Kyle Busch now in second spot.
Yeah, talking to David yesterday, he really felt like he let one slip away at Nashville a couple of weeks ago. He had that lead. They had a caution late, and he let Clint Boyer get under him on a restart there, and that took away his chance of winning. So I think he's got a little something to prove here today.
DJ, you were really high on this young man. He was a teammate of yours when you were actively racing with Michael Waltrip Racing. And what was it about this young man when you saw David Rudiman that made you realize right away that he had what it takes to be a driver and be successful?
You know, I'd watched him even before that. I was very impressed with the way that he came into the series, jumped in cars and did extremely well with not a lot of backing or anything. But then as I got to be a teammate and could go test with him, I saw that he had a really good feel for the race car. He knew what he was looking for in the car. He's extremely smooth with the steering wheel, and just really everywhere that we went, he got a lot of speed, and that's something that you can't teach. You just have that or you don't.
Easing in on the halfway point, 3 laps away from halfway here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The history here is simple. 21 races, 21 different winners. And yes, folks, Kyle Busch is not one of them. It could be 22 for 22. Welcome back to the Camping World RV Sales 200 here in Loudon, New Hampshire. And there is the damage on the right front of the 4-car of Derek Cope. Contact with the wall in turn 2, and that will bring out caution for the 3rd time today. Derek, the former Daytona 500 winner, now running essentially full-time here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series.
Former winner here, Doc, that more than likely is not going to repeat today. So looks like the streak might still be able to keep going.
Yeah, it looks like he just got in there a little bit hard in the center of the corner, and the car got away from him, as we talked about. Very easy to do. But this is a welcome caution flag. You don't want to see anybody have trouble. But a lot of these guys were wanting to work on their cars right now.
Halfway point, so we're just past the halfway. That means pit stops will be the order of the day. So let's go down to our Castrol GTX triple pits with Shannon Spake.
Well, Doc, you saw your race leader, Kyle Busch, getting, as David Rudiman was catching up to, and right now the car is just getting tight, so they're going to make an air pressure adjustment. He warned his crew chief, just let's not go too far like we saw 2 races ago. So air pressure only 4 tires for Kyle Busch. Jamie.
David Rudiman certainly was closing. He said in clean air, he's free on exit, but don't touch it, guys. Car is good. They're putting stickers on this time. It was scuffs earlier on. Dave?
The body on Tony Stewart's car doesn't have a mark on it, but he wanted crew chief Dave Rogers to know that they didn't make a dent in that tight condition in that car last time. This time, 2 rounds up on the track bar to try to make that car turn better for Stewart. He's going to lose a couple of spots on pit road, guys.
And he will lose some spots. Let's see on pit road as they race off. He will lose 4 positions at the track bar adjustment on the 20. You heard Dave say in the Tony Stewart car to make an adjustment on the handling. 10 positions up for Dario Franchitti, who has been a 6-time Ray Bestis Rookie of the Race winner this year. There's the race off of pit road. We'll be back with a green flag after this message and a word from our ABC station. Welcome back to New Hampshire. Green flag waves, and Kyle Busch will take off. Right behind him is Dario Franchitti, last year's Indy 500 winner. In a bit of a pit strategy move, he was able to gain 10 spots, but is he a sitting duck with just 2 tires?
Wow, I don't know about that call. It'll be interesting to see how this works out, Ray. At this time, they had a lot of laps on the left side tires.
Yeah, and normally, 2 tires here sometimes will work, but there's still almost 100 laps to go, so that's a lot on left sides when everybody else got 4 new ones.
Lost a 2nd spot, in jeopardy of losing the 3rd position to Clint Bowyer as Franchitti tries to hang on. Here's the scramble back in the pack. Biffle is there in the 16. The 32 of Hamlin is there. They are 8th and 9th. 1 car of Mike Bliss back in 14th. Brad Keselowski in the 88 trying not to get into the back of the 66 car. Lots of traffic up in the middle group.
Yeah, you're seeing those cars wiggle getting down in the corner. That's that low tire pressure and standing on the brakes hard.
Yeah, a lot of right rear spring in there and all of that. Those things, the coil binding, all of that combined makes it a handful on these restarts. And we see these guys racing extremely hard. But there's less than 100 laps to go. They have to make time while they can right now.
And we're finally starting to see the 88 car move up. He was down around 14th, 15th. Now he's just outside the top 10. So we're finally starting to see him make a move. I expected he would be strong today after his performance last week.
Yeah, by the way, that's 11th through about 17th on the screen there. The 1 car being shown in the 15th position. The lucky dog, by the way, a moment ago when that caution flag was the 47 car of Kelly Byers. There's Kelly able to get back on the lead lap, and he was the first car lap down. He gets the Aaron's lucky dog free pass. So that puts him now as the 21st car on the lead lap.
We see these first 3 cars coming at us right here. Kyle Busch, David Rudiman, and there's Clint Bowyer. He looks like he's a lot better off this time on the restart of this, and that he can hang with these guys. He just didn't seem to have any go power last time, and I would assume they put stickers on this time, and maybe his car's feeling a lot better to him as we see a challenge for the lead from David Rudiman.
David Rudiman has led 1 lap today, would like to make it 2 or more. Hugging the inside, and Kyle Busch gives him plenty of room.
There is 2 grooves here, so you're getting to see that again. The guy on the bottom on the flat, shorter way around. Guy on the top got a little bit of banking, but a longer way around.
It makes for a really tough entry when you're on that guy on the inside getting down into the corner. You don't want to, the car's going to slide up some, so you have to give enough room. But if you get those left sides too far down there, the car kind of unloads itself, you'll get loose, and the next thing you know, you're up into the car on the outside. These guys are doing a great job battling.
What's Bowyer thinking back there riding? What's he thinking he's going to do?
Well, I think he's probably thinking, all right, you guys race extremely hard right now and wear your tires down a little bit, and I'll sit here and ride, and then I'll pass both of you in just a little bit.
Remember, it's Rudiman in the 99 that's chasing Bowyer for the championship. David Rudiman is 2nd right now in the point standings, 170 points back. So Rudiman can't afford a mistake, and Bowyer can't afford to get in there and wrestle with these guys right now trying to win a title.
Yeah, Rudiman was the fastest car on the last run. He started out back in 4th or 5th on that restart, but he worked his way all the way up to 2nd. Jamie, you can add?
Yeah, you guys, we were talking about the stickers versus scuffs deal, and both the 2 car and the 99 took on sticker tires this time around. It's proving to make huge dividends for these 2 drivers. Neither one wanted changes. All they needed was a little new rubber with those sticker tires, both moving forward. Shannon?
Yeah, Kyle Busch has been battling some tight conditions with that car. Of course, they took air pressure on the last stop. Now, as you see him battling David Rudiman and Clint Boyer in that number 2, something to keep in mind is that those 2 other cars are going for a championship, while Kyle Busch is here just to win. And that's what his crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, told me. He said, we're able to make we're able to be a little riskier with our setup. We're able to be a little riskier on the track because we are here for one thing, and that is to win the race.
A lot of different thoughts and strategies going on, and why don't we get an opinion from a guest crew chief down in our ESPN Tech Center, the crew chief for Jeff Gordon in tomorrow's NASCAR Sprint Cup event. Steve Letarte joining us. Steve, what do you think about what you've heard on some of the strategy here and changes on pit road?
Well, you know, a lot is made about all the NASCAR Cup drivers running in the Nationwide Series, but us Sprint Cup crew chiefs, we learn a lot too. Clint Boyer, he took scuff tires earlier. Sticker tires are working now. I'm going to put that in my notebook and make sure I save that for tomorrow. No scuffs on the 24. Sounds like stickers are the way to go.
And with the kind of driver you got, Jeff Gordon, who's a 3-time winner here, and 12 top 5s for Jeff Gordon. How good is that kid? I mean, he's grown up a little bit since we started racing, but Jeff Gordon is pretty darn good at this racetrack anyway.
Yeah, he really is. And I'll tell you, I'm proud of that kid, too. That kid, Steve Letarte. Started as a floor sweeper at the 24 shop in the mid-'90s, worked his way up, the tire guy to mechanic to car chief, and now the crew chief. And he's a darn good crew chief.
Yeah, he worked with you all 4 championships you guys had over there. And by the way, you had 3 wins here with Jeff Gordon, all 3 of his wins here as a crew chief at New Hampshire.
We did, and used lots of different strategy. 2 tires, no tires, and 4 tires. Even got accused of soaking tires here one time, I think, as a matter of fact.
And Dale Jarrett's win, by the way, here in 2001, I believe it was this guy's car on the pole that you beat that day.
Yeah, and I think he ended up finishing second in the race, as a matter of fact. Ricky Rudd and Jeff and myself had a great battle at the end, and I was fortunate enough to come out on top. So every time we came here, we knew that the 24 car and Jeff Gordon were the guys that we needed to beat, and that was kind of our standard that we set. We see Kyle Busch here still trying to get back to the lead. We know he doesn't like running second, so when Rudiman passed him, I'm sure that he found a little something else or saw something there that kept him right on the bumper, and Clint Boyer's hanging back there not too far away.
How good is David Rudiman's car? You heard a moment ago in the pit stop, that Jamie said. They said, don't touch it, don't mess with it. We're that good. And right now, Kyle Busch is trying to mess with it a little bit, but Rudiman pulls him by 3 car lengths. Give a call to Jerry Baxter and company for this 99 car. It's been good since they started the first practice session here yesterday.
You can see Kyle Busch get down a little bit lower there with a tight race car. Sometimes you can get down a little bit more where the track is actually off camber just a little bit, and you can unload that. It puts a little bit more load to that left front ray and slings it over to the right rear to where you loosen the car up a little bit. So that's usually a sign that somebody has a tighter car.
David Rudiman, the driver from Zephyr Hills, Florida, 2nd generation. His dad, Buzzy, is his hero. Longtime open-wheel modified competitor. David Rudiman trying to get his 2nd win in NASCAR Nationwide Series competition.
Heard all kinds of people talking this week about that I survived a Japanese game show, sent 10 Americans over to the world's most outrageous game show. I don't know if you caught any of that.
It is absolutely hilarious. It is crazy.
ABC Tuesday, the games get even more insane, and all new I survived a Japanese game show, Tuesday 9 Eastern, 8 Central on ABC. David Rudiman leading with lots of company. Rudiman in the 99 car, Kyle Busch in the 18, Clint Boyer in the 2. That is the race for the lead with 76 laps to go. Let's get you up to speed with Nationwide Insurance and check on some of these front-running teams. We start with Jamie Little in the leader's pit. Jamie?
And David Rudiman wants to say, I survived Loudon, New Hampshire, and took home the checkered flag, leading this race right now. I talked to Jerry Baxter this weekend and asked him what the difference is here, and he said, because of these non-companion races the last 3 weeks, David has not been in the car for practice and qualifying. He said that made a huge difference this weekend. They had 2 great practice sessions, qualified well, and the results are showing now as he's leading here, looking for his first win here at Loudon. Shannon?
Jamie, what a race we have between the top 3 drivers right now. Kyle Busch making a move on that number 99 car. Kyle Busch has had such a remarkable season. I asked his crew chief here today, Jason Ratcliffe, about working with Kyle Busch, what it's like to work with such a talented young driver. He said, we knew he had talent, but we never knew he was going to be this good. He told me the only person that beats Kyle on this racetrack is Kyle. Right now, Kyle Busch's car still a little tight. Jamie.
Well, Clint Boyer tasted victory in the Cup race here last fall, and he wants to revisit it here in the Nationwide Series. That last stop, they didn't make any changes. They took on those sticker tires, and he's hanging there in the hot third right now. And last weekend, he thought that was his race, and he got booted by Carl Edwards, so he's out to get revenge. Dave?
Jamie, the first voice you will hear is a disgusted crew chief after losing spots on pit road for Tony Stewart. The second voice is Stewart's confident voice. Listen.
Hi, boys. That is enough of that. We'll get him back.
Chance to do that, guys, when they pit perhaps for the final time with the caution coming out on the Speedway. And I think these guys are getting real close to their fuel window, Doc.
Indeed they are, as the caution comes out. There's the yellow flag waving from Kevin Moss, the NASCAR flagman. Debris on the racetrack is what brings out caution for the fourth time, and they were going to all have to come back in and pit one more time. And now, crew chief, can he make it from here?
Absolutely. They're going to pit. They're in their window. You come in, put your best set of tires on, get your adjustments, pull the belts tight, and then get ready for the end.
Somebody's going to probably take a chance here and just put fuel in. What do you think? I mean, the tires have seemed to be pretty good, not falling off a lot. Will somebody try that strategy?
No, the tires seem to be pretty good, but we watched the 40 car go back pretty far, pretty fast on two. I think the guys up front, the guys in the top 10 are legitimate contenders for the win. They're going to come in and put a set on.
Under this caution, the 66 car is our lucky dog. That is Steve Wallace, the first car in lap down. He gets the Aaron's lucky dog free pass to get himself back on the lead lap. There are now 22 cars on the lead lap. What could be final pit stops, it could be determined on pit road today here. Caution number 4, here they come down to you. Shannon?
Well, Kyle Busch looking to go to victory lane here again. He is getting aero tight. He likes that clean air, guys. They're going to take a little bit of the air pressure that they put in that car back out. 4 tires for Kyle Busch. Fuel, he can go to the end. Jamie Little.
David Rudiman right below him in the 99. Michael Waltrip, owner, watching on. They're going to take 4 tires. Rudiman said, you guys, I just want a half turn of that track bar down. We need her to turn better through the corner. Dave?
They had 4 tires over the wall after they saw others taking 2. Tony Stewart's crew just took 2 tires, track bar, wedge adjustment, air pressure as well to try to help that car turn better.
There is the race off of pit road. Kyle Busch -7, Ambrose up 8. 2 tires for Tony Stewart, 4 for Ruben. Won't break it down. Did they make a good choice or a bad choice? We'll find out when we come back. Welcome back to the Camping World RV Sales 200 here in Loudon, New Hampshire. Under caution for the 4th time today. Pit stops, fuel strategy, not a problem. Pit strategy, tire strategy may be a problem. The 20 car took 2, and of course the 99 took 4, but the 16 and 60 did not take tires at all. Here's a 29 car, and he took only 2 tires, but they had an issue. He had to come back on the pit road because of a lug nut, missing lug nut, so that took him from where he was in 7th position back to the back of the pack. Green flag waves. Carl Edwards and his teammate at Roush Fenway Racing, Greg Biffle, neither one of those cars took tires. No tires, fuel only.
Well, that's what DJ said, and if they win the race, I'm going to have to give up my job to DJ because I said no, I'd put tires on. He said maybe just gas, so those guys are out front, but Tony looks pretty good on those 2.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Wow, we've got a great race here now. Not that we didn't before, but this is going to be great to see how these guys that did get tires are going to come up through the pack, and these guys that took no tires, just fuel, are going to be able to hang on up front. So a lot of different strategies played out, and whenever you're standing up here in the booth, it's easy to say no tires. I wouldn't want that if I were sitting in the driver's seat. I can tell you that now.
2 tires for Tony in his Toyota, and he takes a spot away from Greg Biffle. Now he'll set his sights on the 60 car of Carl Edwards.
You know, a few minutes ago, I was looking at the rundown, and we had really Carl Edwards was the first guy up there that has one here that could break our streak of 21 straight races. But he was back in 5th spot, so it looked like we were going to have our 22nd different winner. But now we've got Carl Edwards up there, we've got Kevin Harvick up there, so this whole thing is out to win. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Indeed it is. You know, now Tony Stewart hasn't won here in a nationwide car, so he would be a 22nd different winner. Carl Edwards won here in 2006, and now he is under attack from the 20 car.
Those tires seem to be just a little bit better rolling through the center of the corner. You've got to remember, we've got a couple guys coming back through there that had fast cars, the 18 and the 99. They put 4 tires on, so we'll see if they've got enough time to get to the front with 65 laps left.
Stewart takes a spot away, 65 to go. Stewart's Toyota, Edwards and Biffle in second and third. Let's more on Carl Edwards with Dave.
And of course, Doc, they chose not to change tires on that stop. Their tire wear has been good, and they've gotten the balance right. They were worried about that earlier in the race, but they've gotten it adjusted to where Carl at least likes the balance. They didn't have any track position, though, so they got it. And now they've been passed for the lead, of course, by Tony Stewart. That was a good strategy move on their part, having not even sniffed the lead yet today. It got them out front, and they might not lose all that much by the end of this race.
Yeah, the third car in line there that you see is, as we see a battle with Kevin Harvick trying to go past Greg Biffle, and we see the 18 car trying to make his way back up. But the third car in line, the 32 car, Denny Hamlin, we haven't said much about him today, but I noticed on the last run that he was extremely strong. His lap times as they ran and got about 25 laps on the tires were as good, if not better, than anyone else. Shannon, you got more than 32 for us?
Yeah, you know, Denny Hamlin started this race 15th. He has really come through the field. He's holding strong in the top 10. Now, before we started this race, Denny Hamlin told his crew chief, we're really going to have to work on this car today, and that's pretty much what they've done. It's been loose. Of course, 2 tires for Denny Hamlin on that last stop has gotten him the track position, guys.
Denny Hamlin has never finished worse than 5th at this racetrack in 3 starts in a NASCAR Nationwide car. He finished 3rd in 05 and 06, finished 5th a year ago. Very good here on the essentially flat 1-mile oval here in Loudon, New Hampshire.
And of course, we know that he won the Sprint Cup race here last spring, so he knows how to get around here. These are the type of racetrack you talk. All of these guys grew up running obviously flat racetrack, but he seems to really adapt to these Nationwide cars and the Sprint Cup cars on this type of track.
Stewart the leader, then Hamlin, Edwards is 3rd, Harvick, Kyle Busch, that's 4th and 5th, David Reagan is 6th, Biffle, Rudeman, Ambrose, Bliss, and all the way back now in 11th position is our points leader, and that would be the 2 car of Clint Bowyer. There is Bowyer. Jamie?
Well, Doc, you went from leading early on to now sitting 11th. I just asked the team if they're concerned at all, and they said the last stop they didn't make any changes, just took 4 tires. They're not concerned yet because only 2 cars running ahead of him are on the same strategy and took 4 tires as well. So they're not ready to panic just yet. But coming into this race, Clint Bowyer certainly thought he had the car to win.
Move for position on the racetrack as Kyle Busch goes by. And those tires now paying off for him to take the position away from Carl Edwards at his 3rd spot. And we're starting to see the time of the race where we get a little bit of pushing and shoving and a little fender bumping and rubbing, and that may have an impact on the 99. Check the right front fender there for David Rudeman.
Oh yeah, before you know, even with 4 tires, that damage is certainly going to affect the handling of that car. Looks like he got into the left rear Greg Biffle right there and brought that in. DJ, that's going to make him pretty tight, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think that would make your car handle quite a bit differently. Even though we're just on a 1-mile racetrack, you still get a lot of speed here, and that downforce on the front is being compromised right there. So it'll be interesting to see if indeed this does hurt Dave. He was talking about his car being pretty loose earlier, so maybe it won't affect him too bad. But he just got, as you come up out of the corner, the cars really want to go to the wall, and he just ran out of room there as Biffle was coming off the wall.
He was passing Biffle for 9th position. He went by Mike Bliss. It has now moved to 7th and is trying to set his sights on David Reagan. There's Reagan right in front of him there in the 6th car. 57 laps to go. Tony Stewart, one of the drivers that's not won here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, has won here twice in NASCAR Sprint Cup. If he holds on, it could be 22 drivers in 22 races.
Wednesday night, Roush Fenway Racing Night at Fenway Park in Boston. That is what David Reagan's Sprint Cup Series car will look like in the race here tomorrow. John Lester, the no-hitter, got an honorary pit crew member shirt. Now watch Reagan here in the batting cage.
Looks pretty good. A nice little cut on it. Maybe we can do this when we go to Atlanta, too. If the Braves, you know, we'll get to go out and
Josh Beckett, Jamie McMurray, little buddies, having a chat on the field there as well. The Roush Fenway team right now, their best car, Carl Edwards, in 5th position. Talked to Carl down there the other night as well. The guys had a good time down at the park. You should have been there with us.
I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. I'll go ahead and just say that right now so we can get that off the table.
There's Edwards and David Reagan, top two Roush Fenway drivers in the race at this point, running in 5th and 6th positions. Now, one spot behind them, David Ruderman. Want to talk about this? We just saw the damage he got when he bounced off of Greg Biffle a minute ago. And bring in Steve Letarte over our Chevy Cutaway car. And Steve, really, you can track back that damage on this car to the strategy call they made a minute ago on pit road.
Absolutely, Doc. This is the second car we've seen today have trouble since they've gotten the back of the pack. Landon Cassill, our pole sitter, had to change engines, go to the back of the pack, got in an accident early. Now here's the 99 car, fast car all day long, decided to take 4 tires, try to get some speed in the car. Now he's in the back, damage to that fender. It's definitely going to affect the handling.
Jerry Baxter, the crew chief there, looking on. Thank you, Mr. Letarte. Dropped David Ruderman back to 9th and trying to pick his way up through the traffic.
I think it's a good move, though. I think taking those tires gave him a better opportunity to get that car out front. If he got some clean air on the nose of that car and could have made his way to the front, he may check out on him, but it's one of those deals. You're just gambling. That's racing.
A couple other guys we thought we'd be talking about a lot more today that we're not.
I've been watching Brad Keselowski and Marcus Ambrose just go at it here lap after lap, trying to get away from one another, and both of them just haven't had the opportunity, particularly Brad, to get up in that top 5. He told me before the race he had a great race car, and he expected big things. It's been a tough day for him.
Jamie just kind of hung there in 12th spot right now.
Well, he sure has. This is a place he's never run in a nationwide car before. He's only run trucks here. Started out extremely loose. They made a lot of changes, worked on it. He said it's finally coming around. Last stop, they made no changes. But basically, in the beginning, I asked the team how the car was. They said it's junk.
Well, it's kind of hung back there right now in traffic. We'll see if he can squeeze a top 10 out of it by the end of the race. Now, got 48 laps to go, just past the 3/4 point of the race. And Brad, I think the question between here and the checkered flag is, can Kyle Busch in that 18 get up there and challenge Tony Stewart without the help of a couple of caution flags?
Boy, it just does not look like he's able to close that gap much at all, Alan. I think we're going to have another caution, bunch them back up, and then I think we'll have a heck of a race to the finish. But the way it looks right now, it looks like Tony Stewart is about to check out on these boards.
Oh, got a long way to go. We'll see. That's the view ahead. Kyle Busch to 2nd place, Denny Hamlin, and the leader, Tony Stewart. Little strategies shaking up the standings. Right now, Tony Stewart in search of his 5th win in this NASCAR nationwide season. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Coming back to New Hampshire.
Again, for you fans just tuning in, the reason the 32 car doesn't have any signage on it or any sponsorships is because condolences go out to Todd Braun, who owns that car, Braun Motorsports, due to the passing of his mom, Linda Braun, affectionately known as Mama B by the team. Both the cars, a Denny Hamlin and Jason Leffler car, the 32 and 38, were brought here purely painted black to honor the memory of a woman who's been such a major part in this team's success of the year. She was at the racetrack last week in Milwaukee and passed away at the age of 64 earlier in the week.
Now, DJ, I got a question. You're Denny Hamlin. You've got your one teammate ahead of you, one teammate behind you. The teammate behind you's probably got a faster car than you do, and his only shot at winning the race and beating the other teammate is he's got to get by you. If he has no chance of getting by the 32, I don't think he can catch the 20.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be interesting to see. You know, if I'm in Denny Hamlin's spot, of course we're all different, and that's what makes the sport so great is everybody's different. But once the 18 gets to me, I'm probably going to let him go and see if he's got a chance there. And then you're no reason to try to hold him up anyway. You know that he's got 4 tires. Your car started to slide around just a little bit. And as much as we're talking about the 20 car right now, and it looks like he could go on to a win, we don't need to count Kyle Busch out. He has 4 tires, and it could only be in the last 15 laps that it makes a huge difference as long as he stays in contact there. So it'll be interesting to see how Denny handles this. We do have the 3 Joe Gibbs drivers right here battling it out.
31 laps to go. When you come to New England, well, the sports fans got it all. You got Fenway, you got Foxborough, and how about some great food here? Yeah, folks, they got lobsters, even the ones that are the 2-legged lobsters in the stands. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Welcome back to the Camping World RV Sales 200 here in Loudon, New Hampshire. Some of the NASCAR news and notes of the week. 11 double-duty drivers this weekend now that the Nationwide Series and the NASCAR Sprint Cup are back together this weekend. And the next couple at Daytona and Chicago. Casey Mears Press conference, he will be out at Hendrick for the remainder after this year. He will finish out the year. A lot of speculation as to who might go in that 5 car. Mark Martin's name, one of those mentioned, purely speculation. Tony Stewart, what's going to happen with him? Is he going to become an owner, possibly seeking sponsors? And Ryan Newman, one of those drivers mentioned to be a teammate, if indeed that were to come to bear. And of course, Greg Biffle signs a 3-year contract to stay put with Roush Fenway. Clint Boyer also staying put. Richard Childress Racing had both those drivers had plenty of options and a long line of people waiting if they were going to be free agents in the garage area.
A lot of moving around going on. This top 35 thing is big, and boy, if I wish I was a driver with a past champion provisional there, DJ.
Certainly makes a difference. There's no doubt about that. And you know, it's tough. That top 35 means a lot. And starting out the next year, if you're going to make a change, you have to look at all the different scenarios. As we see, Kyle Busch has caught Denny Hamlin right now, trying to take over that second spot. Denny's not giving it up easy, so that brings up the point you were making just a few minutes ago. Is he going to let him go when he gets there because they're teammates?
No, he's there now, and he's got a little bit better car. A lap tracker showing that the 18 is able to run about a 1/10 of a second faster than a 32, but really about the same speed as a 20.
It's amazing how I've stood up here over the years with different drivers, and they say up here, oh, yeah, I'd let him go. If he's my teammate, he's quicker. But when you get down there, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, things look different. When you're looking at that mirror, he might not seem quite as close, or even though he's gotten there, he might not be ready to make that pass yet. And it seems that every lap things change just a little bit. And Denny's able to make his car go a little bit better when he's able to stay around the bottom of the racetrack. But that's been difficult for him to do as they've had to go through lap traffic.
And Denny could be thinking, hey, anything can happen. 20 to go here. There is a lot of lap track. If there could be another caution, Tony could have a flat tire. Any number of things could happen.
Here's the 99 car, David Rudeman. We documented a fender damage after contact with the 16 of Greg Biffle, and the 99 trying to hold on in front of Mike Bliss. That is 7th and 8th position.
And I think that's definitely taken the sharpness out of that car. That car was really sharp before it bent the fender like that.
Yeah, it really was. It's unfortunate that he got in that situation, but you know, again, those things are going to happen, and he's just right now trying to make the most of it. We see Clint Boyer, who had fallen back outside of the top 10, has rebounded a little bit and got himself back in the 9th position. So points-wise, he's helping himself out here because the guy that's in second to him is just right in front of him. So he's not going to lose many points. But I know this is going to be disappointing for him because he really thought he had the car to beat today.
Clint Boyer had led 3 times for 36 laps, and obviously 4-tire change, back in traffic. Now, as you mentioned, back into the top 10. But the big picture for Clint Boyer is that NASCAR Nationwide Series Championship. Came in with a 188-point lead over Brad Keselowski. Currently has a 182-point lead over the 99 car of David Rudeman. And there is Keselowski. Speaking of the 88 car, set on the pole, dominated last week at Milwaukee, led 145 of the first 171 laps, but has not been a factor here today.
That's a little surprising. When I was talking to Brad yesterday, he said this was the same car. He was excited about that. And I'm sure that you probably run a lot of the same type setup because both of the tracks are very flat racing surfaces. So I think we expected a little bit more from him here today, but I think this goes back to show just a little bit. He hasn't raced much here, so he didn't really know exactly how to start his car out, Ray, and that has to be a factor.
Yeah, me too. He kind of caught me by surprise. I thought that they were going to be a contender for the win, but he is starting to move up through the field now, just past Jason Keller, somebody else who we should throw a shout out to, former winner here, kind of a smaller team, but running well. But I really thought that as strong as Brad's car was in Milwaukee, he was going to be a lot stronger here today.
Yeah, watch out for that 88 car, by the way, next week at Daytona, because he'll be, that car runs awfully well there. And his teammate, by the way, in the 5 car will be the car owner himself, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Our coverage next Friday night in Daytona. More on Brad Keselowski with Jamie.
Well, DJ and Ray were talking about Brad and about him running here. I mentioned earlier, this is the first time the 88 of Brad Keselowski has run here. And I asked him right before he got in the car about this particular track, and he said, this progressive banking throws me off. And he said after qualifying, my car is better than I am. Maybe, DJ, you can elaborate on what it's like to come to a new track like this that has what we call progressive banking.
Yeah, it's a good point, Jenny. You're exactly right. And we see inside here Brad working pretty hard with this race car right now. But if you don't know exactly what this banking does for your car, where it's going to benefit you and where to stay away from, even it can be a little intimidating to get those left side tires down on that very lowest part of the racetrack and the way that it upsets your car. So if you're not used to that, it takes some time. And I'm sure that when he gets out of the race car today, he'll be able to tell his crew, look, I'm going to be better here next time. This is what I need a little bit more for my race car.
Brad Keselowski, 5 straight top 5 finishes. The top 10 finishes, the second longest streak in the series next to Clint Bowyer. Back at end today, and here's a side-by-side battle between the 1 and the 99. Bliss trying to go by Rudeman, and Rudeman trying to hold on to the position. Every single point important for both these drivers who are running full time here in the Nationwide Series.
We haven't said a lot about Mike Bliss, but he's just been steady all day. He's been right there in the top 10 the majority of the time. And since he's come to this car, it's been a marked improvement over what they were doing. And just shows the type of talent that he does have. And I think that it's only a matter of time before we see him in victory lane at one of these races.
Had a good run last week, Ray, at Milwaukee. Bliss led 21 laps, has had back-to-back top 10 finishes in that one car for James Finch.
Yeah, and Mike, this was kind of his style of track. You know, here, Phoenix, places like that, he was so good in the truck. And he has, DJ, brought that one car to life. And they've been moving up. I think that they're getting their plan worked out on the things that he likes in the car because they seem to get faster and faster and more consistent every week.
13 laps to go, and one of the things we keep talking about when we come to this racetrack here in the Lake region of central New Hampshire is that it has had 21 different winners in 21 different races. Dating back to 1990, there has never been a repeat winner. And folks, if Tony Stewart were to hold on, it would be 22 for 22. Amazing, as competitive as this sport is, we have not had a repeat winner here since this series began in 1990. Denny Hamlin in second spot in the 32. He has not won here, although they both, Stewart and Hamlin, have won here in the Cup. Neither one have won here in the Nationwide Series, nor has Kyle Busch in the third spot. There's the 99 and the 1 going at it again for position. That's for 7th spot. By the way, Kevin Harvick is 4th, Carl Edwards 5th, David Reagan is 6th.
Looks like the 1 and the 99 got matching fenders now. They're running about the same speed with that right front fenders.
Still 21 cars on the lead lap. Stephen Wallace, by the way, was one of the Aaron's lucky dogs on one of the previous caution flags, able to stay on the lead lap. Kelly Byers, the first car, a lap down in 22nd position. Tony Stewart in the 20 car. By the way, for you Joey Logano fans, if you just joined our coverage, Joey out of this car for this week and Daytona and Chicagoland. He'll be back in the car at Gateway in St. Louis. 20 car will have Denny Hamlin in it next week at Daytona. Tony Stewart will actually drive this car twice more in the 2008 season. He'll be in it at Chicago and Michigan. There's Denny Hamlin, who will be in the 20 car next Friday night when we head to Daytona. Well, the 18 car was starting to reel him in a little bit to Shannon, but now Kyle Busch has dropped back. What's going on?
Yeah, Doc, it looked like it could have been a victory lane celebration for that number 18 team here today, Kyle Busch. They have been battling tight conditions all race long. It has not gotten any better. Kyle Busch basically came over the radio, told his team, we are just so tight, we cannot compete with these guys. We're done. Dave?
And Shannon, the guy trying to catch him now just a few car lengths back is Kevin Harvick. They've been working with a car that wouldn't turn most of the day, but just spoke with crew chief Wally Rogers, and he told me we've gotten the balance pretty good. Just running out of laps right now for Harvick. Remember, he was one of the drivers that skipped final practice to concentrate on his Cup effort. He qualified 3rd for that race and has had a pretty reasonable day today, but not contending for the win.
Kevin Harvick trying to win in his own car. Kevin Harvick Incorporated car. There's Carl Edwards, last week's winner, who snapped that 36-race winless streak. And despite no tires, Carl's held on pretty well.
Yeah, he has. That has to be a handful, especially about this time of having no tires on that car. He's got a lot of laps on those tires now, but you see him hanging right in there in 5th. David Reagan, who we haven't talked much about today, doing a terrific job. Just steady. Every single week we seem to say a lot the same things, that he's just steady. He hasn't gotten to that point of being able to get to victory lane yet, but that's coming very soon.
David 5th in the NASCAR Nationwide Series points, running the full season. One of 4 double-duty drivers running the full year, along with the 99 car of David Rudeman. 6 laps to go. How much, we're talking about double duty, how much does running this race, even though the cars are completely different now, help a driver or impact what a driver can do in the Cup race here on Sunday?
I think that this is one of those places that is a big help to run that Saturday race and being out here. You see what the track conditions are, how the tire reacts, what happens when you put 2 tires on, and what it made your car do. So I think there's some benefit, and I think that's why you see a lot of these guys wanting to do this. And this is a lot of a rhythm racetrack as far as where you're braking. Even though they're running these nationwide cars in further than they will be their Sprint Cup cars tomorrow, it's still getting in a rhythm and letting that car roll and knowing where you can make time on the track.
And I agree with that. And DJ, a lot of these young guys, it's good. Laps are laps. And even though there's not a lot of setup information you can take back and forth from COT now, but laps are laps.
Battle for 10th position here, Biffle and Keselowski. As you watch these cars, Chevy, the 88 car, the 16, the Ford.
Yeah, how much does it say about Brad Keselowski and how far they have come this year in just a short period of time that we're talking about an off day? Here he is in the top 10. He's running 10th. So that says, speaks volumes about how good he's become in this race team.
And you're looking at a guy that basically a year ago today, right? The Memphis truck race, he was a substitute driver in the truck, did a great job there, got a call to come and drive for Dale Jr., and now they're talking about maybe seeing him in a Cup car.
Yeah, a year ago last week in Milwaukee, he was walking around with his hands in his pockets looking for a ride because his owner that he'd been driving for was out of money and he was just trying to get a chance. Now he's racing a former series champion here, Greg Biffle, for position with 3 laps to go for a top 10 finish. Speaking of the Cup race here on Sunday, by the way, congratulations, Patrick Carpentier, Gillette Evernham Motorsports driver, first pole, and he had never seen the track before.
No, and he's a great guy, and Patrick works very hard at this and close to his home country of Canada, so some of his countrymen will be here, and I imagine it was a pretty good party in Montreal last night. I hope they didn't wreck enough stuff like they do when the Canadians win. I know that I just made Alan mad.
White flag here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Tony Stewart, a 4-time winner. And we've got trouble, but the white flag is waving Biffle into the wall.
Caution down.
And this white flag is waved, white and yellow simultaneously.
Once you take the white.
That's going to give us our 22nd different winner.
And that's exactly what Tony said. I was laying out to let him talk, but once you get the white, the next one is the checkered flag. So Tony Stewart becomes the 22nd different winner in 22 races here in New Hampshire. Gives a wave to Denny Hamlin, his Cup Series teammate on the way by.
Guys, proud of you guys.
Tony said, I would love to be able to win it, but I also want to give a win to Dave Rogers in his home racetrack. He came here when he was 16 years old back in 1990. He said, I always wanted to win here at New Hampshire, and today smoke has given that young man, 34-year-old Dave Rogers, his first win here at home.
Well, it's becoming a common occurrence to climb up here to talk to Dave Rogers. Dave, why is it extra special to you to be here? And why did you just ask for that checkered flag from your man, Tony Stewart?
I'm home. This is my hometown track. My dad's here. Oh, man, this is tough. You know, you guys, the media, you gave me a lot of credit this weekend. I appreciate it. But wise man once said, I see so far because I stand on the shoulders of giants. These guys are awesome. I love them. They're the best in the business. That's why we win races.
It also comes down to your call. That last pit stop, you made the call to take 2 tires. Why?
I looked up and they're all coming. I mean, I looked up and pit road was a parking lot. Everybody was coming. I knew if we got back in traffic, we could never make it to the front here. It's a track position race, and we were here to win, not to run top 5. So we gambled and it paid off. And pretty happy. That Old Spice Toyota Cam race pretty fast, but I can't be more prouder of these guys and everyone at the shop. But it's a big deal for me.
8th win of the season. Where are you going to put that checkered flag?
I don't know. Probably a fight between my dad and my 6-year-old boy. I don't know who will win.
All right, Tony Stewart doing the Polish victory lap, guys.
A gutsy call gives a young man from here in New England his first win at home. How special is that? When we come back, we'll visit with Tony Stewart in Victory Lane. Our Our coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series Camping World RV Sales 200 is brought to you by Camping World RV Sales. 18th race of the year is history, and history once again continues here in New Hampshire as Tony Stewart becomes a 22nd different winner in as many races. Let's go down to victory lane and Dave Burns.
Here it comes, Tony Stewart, victor number 22 at this place. He said to his guys right before that, be nice, so I guess maybe avoiding the eyes was the nice in that. But congratulations for the 22nd different winner here, Tony. And today it was pretty special for crew chief on top of that box.
Yeah, it really was. This is for Dave Rogers and his dad who are here this weekend. Obviously, Dave's our crew chief, and man, he's awesome. I mean, you know, all the people at Old Spice and all the guys in this Old Spice team at Joe Gibbs Racing, what an awesome job. We were about 2 stops away from getting it right, but just thank these fans who been sticking it out here with the weather all weekend. Stuck it out yesterday during qualifying, and just you know, want to dedicate this to Todd Braun and his family, and those who've lost loved ones this past week. So it's been a tough week in the racing industry, but it's a tight-knit group of people, and we want everybody to know we're thinking about them.
When you came down pit road for the final time, Dave was thinking 4-tire pit stop. He changed to 2 right in the middle. Talk about your confidence with him and your trust in him and what he's doing in this car.
It's hard not to when you won 5 races for him this year. It's but it's, you know, it's not me. That's proof of what this program's about. It's about Dave and all these guys. You know, there's been 4 of us winning this car, so it's not the drivers by any means. We're the fortunate ones that get to drive these great things at Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota and everything that the Old Spice people do. That's been an awesome year for us.
And yet he says of you, when he races with you, it's very comfortable. You're like an old baseball mitt that you like to pick up and put on because it's so comfortable. What do you think of him?
I guess he's an old baseball, and so we go pretty good hand in hand, I guess. So no, he's great. I mean, you know, Dave has come so far as a crew chief, you know, since he started with us at Joe Gibbs Racing, started with our Home Depot team as an engineer, and for him to finally, you know, not only reach the status of a crew chief, but to be this dominant this year and win as many races as this team's won. It's a testimony to his leadership and what he can do with these guys at Joe Gibbs Racing.
All right, people waiting to celebrate with you. Go ahead. Congratulations to Tony Stewart, Doc, winner in New Hampshire.
Thanks, Dave. Tony Stewart's 5th win of the year, the 11th for Joe Gibbs Racing. Toyota's 12th win in 2008. And Toyota comes home 1-2-3. They sweep the top 3, the first time that's happened in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Now let's take you back to the final lap and show you what happened. Tony was trying to hold on and get the win. This car, Greg Biffle, was battling for 10th position with Brad Keselowski, and let's watch the action here in the final lap.
We can see these down inside of him right there. It looks like just a little bit of contact, pinch down. Sometimes if you just touch the right front tire of your car, it'll take it around, won't it, DJ?
Yeah, and it looked like it was simultaneous with him jumping into the gas. It looked like he was going to try to really get back into the gas hard and get a run up off the corner. You see, as he gets back in the gas, it gets a little bit loose down there on that very bottom. I don't know if there's any contact there. It looked like he just got those left sides on that apron part of the track, and that'll turn you around.
On board with Greg Biffle. Watch the action here. Final lap, trying to get that 10th spot.
Just got loose.
Yeah. You know, you hear these guys talk that with these plates on these cars that they have to really get into the gas hard as quick as they can, especially when you're trying to make a pass on the last lap of the race.
Greg Biffle will be credited with finishing in 19th position. He would be the final car on the lead lap. Once again, Tony Stewart victorious here for the first time in a NASCAR Nationwide Series car in New Hampshire. 22 drivers in 22 races. The day in New Hampshire began with an 18-year-old on the pole. Although he had to go to the back of the pack because of an engine change, he would charge through the field. Landon Cassill was the guy to watch early on. Lap 2, though, kids not playing nice. Brad Coleman and Stephen Wallace have contact. Coleman gets the worst end of that deal. He had to go to the garage area, would come back to finish 31st. Lap 21, here comes Tony. Tony Stewart on the inside of the points leader, Clint Boyer. Could Stewart take that car to the front and stay there? Possibly an omen for what was going to happen the rest of the day. Lap 48, here comes Cassill all the way up 24 positions, but just a touch from Bobby Hamilton, but a hard hit for 18-year-old Landon Cassill, and suddenly the front of that car engulfed in flames. Landon Cassill's day would come to a premature end. Lap 112, David Rudiman had a very good car. Started back in 12th position and would finally drive underneath the 2 car and eventually the 18 of Kyle Busch to take the lead here at New Hampshire. Pit strategy, how about no tires, 2 tires versus 4 tires? Here the 60 car of Carl Edwards, they opt for fuel only and no fresh Goodyears to get him up front. Here's the 20 car. They're going to take only 2 right side tires. Which strategy would pay off? Lap 135, it became very quickly apparent that 2 tires are better than none, as Tony Stewart was zipped to the inside of Carl Edwards and take the lead. Final lap, Stewart leading, but the battle is up the racetrack for 10th position. No contact, but Greg Biffle, trying to keep the car on the inside, spins around, has contact with the wall, and Biffle would finishes the last car on the lead lap. Tony Stewart would come home as the 22nd different winner in 22 races at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.